A man who can sit comfortably in silence is a very powerful man because he shows that he's confident and he doesn't need constant conversation to feel comfortable. Insecurities are loud. People who are overly loud and attention seek are typically insecure about something, and they're trying to overcompensate for it to hide that insecurity. They need external validation to feel good about themselves. Silence makes most people feel uncomfortable, so they feel the need to fill it with talking.
I'm a calm person by nature. I don't like chaos. I don't enjoy confrontation. I don't wake up wanting to argue or fight or prove anything. Peace is always kind of in the default setting for me. But I've met people who knew exactly how to pull me out of that calm. People who studied my silence, my patience, my softness, not to appreciate it, but to test it.
Masculine energy is not being aggressive, it's being calm. So let's get into it. Most men think being masculine means being dominant, loud, fear, rah-rah. You know what I'm saying? Nah, masculine energy is found and when you don't even have to raise your voice. It's in how calm you can stay when life tries to shake you. Think about it.
They'll call him steady, grounded, the rock. They'll say he's got it figured out, that nothing rattles him, that he's the one you call when everything is falling apart because somehow he never does. And you'll watch him sit there through chaos like it's background noise. While everyone else is spiraling, he's just there, still, unmoved. Like he's already seen how this movie ends, but no one asked the obvious question. What if he's not calm because he figured something out? What if he's calm because something in him switched off? There's a difference between a man who found peace and a man who went quiet because nothing he felt ever mattered to anyone. One of those is strength, the other is survival, and the world can't tell them apart. Some men genuinely earned their calm. They did the work, they sat with their chaos, they got broken open by life and consciously chose to rebuild themselves with stillness at the center. These men can feel anger without exploding. They can sit with sadness without drowning. They've learned what psychologists call emotional regulation, not suppression, but fluency. They feel everything. They just don't get hijacked by it anymore. That kind of calm is hard won. It comes from facing the storm, not avoiding it. But there's another kind of calm, one that doesn't get talked about. That's the kind that wasn't chosen, the kind that was installed. A 2011 study across nearly 5,000 men found that conformity to masculine norm, the pressure to suppress emotions, deny vulnerability, cope alone, directly predicted negative attitudes towards seeking help. The researchers called it self-stigma, the feeling that reaching out means you failed at being a man. But that stigma didn't come from nowhere. It started in childhood. Boys don't cry. You've heard it. Maybe you lived it. Maybe you were 6 years old, tears running down your face, and someone told you to stop, to man up, to swallow it. Maybe you were 12 and you learned the boys that cried got targeted, got mocked, got remembered as weak for years afterward. And something in you made a decision that you were too young to understand. You learned the rules before you could question them. Emotion is dangerous. Vulnerability is weakness. The only acceptable feeling is anger. And even that should be controlled.
People who pushed and poked and twisted situations just enough to get a reaction out of me. And people who dragged me into versions of myself I didn't even recognize or like. And the second I reacted, the second my tone shifted or I defended myself or I finally said enough, that's where, they were there right away to say the line they've been waiting to say all along, which is like, see, that's who you are. No, it's not. That's not who I am. That's who I became in a moment I never wanted to be in. That's who I became when someone pushed past every boundary I set quietly. That's who I became when my calm was mistaken for weakness and when my patience was stretched into permission. My character isn't defined by the moment I broke. My character is defined by all the moments I didn't. By every instance I chose understanding over anger, and by every time I let things slide that I shouldn't have, and by every situation where I swallowed frustration instead of creating more of it. People love to judge you for your reaction, but they never acknowledge the 1,000 pushes that came before it. So, if you've ever felt out of character, if you've ever reacted in a way that shocked even you, if you ever look back at a moment thinking, that wasn't me, you're not wrong, because who you are in a moment of exhaustion, pressure, or, provocation is not the full story of who you are. The real you is the one who tries, the one who chooses calm until calm is no longer an option, the one who stays grounded until someone rips the ground from under you, the one who finally reacts, not because you're unstable, but because you're human. So no, the out of character moment, it doesn't rewrite your identity. It doesn't define your nature. It doesn't cancel out your calm. It was a reaction, not a reflection. And I won't let anyone, not even myself, use, one moment to erase the person I actually am.
So you started building the wall brick by brick until one day the wall was so high you couldn't see over it anymore, and no one noticed. Because from the outside, you just looked calm. Research from Harvard found that children who experience harsh discipline show altered brain response in regions tied to emotional regulation and threat detection. Their brain literally reorganized around the expectation that expressing emotions lead to punishment. That's not learning to be calm. That's learning to disappear. Psychologist James Groves has spent decades studying emotional suppression. His research shows that men suppress emotion significantly more than women. But the twist, a 2010 study found that suppression is linked to depression specifically in men, not women. The very thing that men are trained to do, hold it in, push it down, keep it together, is the thing that most likely to break them. Start with the body. Suppressed emotions don't disappear. They relocate. Chronic tension in the jaw, shoulders that never fully drop, a chest that feels tight for reasons doctors can't even explain. The body keeps the score. And for men who've been suppressed since childhood, the bill comes due in migraines, high blood pressure, heart problems. Then there's the mind. Men don't make it nearly 4 times more often than women. A 2023 global survey of men who have been to their darkest places found something haunting. Restrictive attitude towards emotional expression significantly increased the odds of reaching that point. Not depression alone, not trauma alone. The belief is showing emotion is weakness. That was the multiplier. These men weren't cold. They were drowning quietly. And everyone around them thought that they were fine because they looked so calm. That same calm, the same that was installed, not chosen, often becomes the thing that people admire most about him. His partner calls him steady. His friends call him unshakable. His boss calls him reliable under pressure. And he learns that the mask is what makes him valuable. So he keeps wearing it. Not because it fit, but because taking it off might mean losing everything he's built. The job that rewards his composure. The relationship that leans on his stability. The identity that everyone has come to depend on. He's trapped in his own competence. And no one asks what's underneath because the surface is so useful. Someone always feels it, usually the person closest to him. Research on emotional unavailability shows that partners of emotional distant men often describe a specific kind of loneliness. The kind where you're physically together but emotionally alone. I know he loves me, but I can't feel it. When I try to talk about something real, he shuts down. I told him my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and he said, "That's tough," and went back to watching TV. I don't think he's cruel. I just don't think he knows how to be anything else. The partner begins to wonder if they're too needy, too emotional, too much. She starts shrinking herself to match his flatness. And the man doesn't understand why she keeps asking what's wrong. Because to him, nothing is. This is just how he's always been. He doesn't realize that his calm isn't being experienced as strength. It's being experienced as absence.
Masculine energy is found and when you don't even have to raise your voice. It's in how calm you can stay when life tries to shake you. Think about it. A lot of men are aggressive because they're insecure. They think force equals strength. But aggression is just usually a cover-up for fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of being seen. Fear of not actually being enough. And I get it. The masculine man isn't out here trying to prove a point. Why? Because he is the point. He doesn't yell to be heard. People listen because his presence speaks before his mouth ever does. And to me, that's real power. Listen to me. Women, they don't feel safe around aggression. They feel safe around certainty. They can sense when a man is driven by chaos versus conviction. Masculinity is not in chasing control. It's mastering self-control. Stop trying to control others and worry about controlling you. Because the loudest man in the room usually is the weakest one. But the quiet one, that's the one that doesn't flinch, doesn't fold. That's the man who wins in the long run. So if you want to be masculine, if you have an issue with that, stop trying to be fear and lock in on becoming respected.
As rejection that never uses words. The tragedy is that he's not doing this on purpose. He genuinely doesn't know what she's asking for because the part of him that would have known got shut down decades ago. You can't give access to a room you forgot existed. What's the difference between numbness and peace? Peace is what happens when you felt the storm, processed it, and came out the other side. You can still feel everything. You just don't get hijacked by it anymore. There's space between the trigger and the response. That space is wisdom. Numbness is different. Numbness is what happens when the feeling never got processed at all. It got locked away. And the lock has been closed for so long, you forgot that there was even a door. Peace is a choice made after feeling. Numbness is the absence of feeling dressed up as being controlled. One is freedom. The other is a prison that looks like a fortress. The comments on the original video told the real story. 777 likes on a single comment that said, "We didn't choose to be like this. We didn't have the choice." That's not enlightenment. That's a wound that learned to stop bleeding in public. There's a moment in almost every man's life where he made a silent decision. Maybe he was 7 and crying and someone told him to stop. Maybe he was 14 and heartbroken and no one asked how he felt. Maybe he was 22 and drowning and realizing that showing it only made people uncomfortable. At some point, something in him did the math. Vulnerability equals punishment. Emotion equals burden. The only safe move is to disappear inside himself. And he did. Not because he wanted to, because the system didn't give him another option. If you recognize yourself not in the peaceful part, but in the numb ones, you need to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You adapted to a system that punished you for being human. And that adaptation kept you alive. It got you through childhood, through rejection, through a world that told you your feelings were a liability. But adaptation isn't the same as thriving. And the armor that protected you then might be suffocating you now. You don't owe anyone your numbness, disguised as strength. You don't have to be the calm one in every room. You don't have to perform steadiness for people who never asked what it cost you. And if someone only loves the version of you that never breaks, that's not love. That's a job. Real calm, the real one worth having, isn't the absence of emotion. It's what happens when emotion meets understanding. You don't become the ocean by freezing the water. You become it by letting yourself move. You were taught that reacting to everything makes you a prisoner of everything. But they left out the other half. Not reacting to anything makes you a prisoner too. The goal isn't to feel nothing. The goal is to finally be allowed to feel and choose what to do with it. That's not weakness. That's the only kind of strength that actually lasts. The calm ones aren't always the ones that figured it out. Sometimes they're the ones that stopped asking for help a long time ago. You were never too much. You were just surrounded by people who couldn't hold what you carried. That's not your failure. That's theirs. It's been your girl, Rene here. I'll see you guys in my next video.